Yo, YouTube, what is up? Welcome back to the Radar for Wrestling Studios.
What up, Mox?
Guys, Monday Night Raw just ended. We got 2 takeaways for you in this episode.
It sucks.
Yeah, it wasn't that good of a Monday Night Raw. Yeah, I mean, TLC's coming 1 week from Sunday, so that's all to really look forward to. But there's some interesting things that went on in the show, even though it wasn't a good show. A couple things here that were kind of interesting that we're getting into. So we got 2 takeaways for you guys. A lot of Randy and Bray Wyatt on the show, which is not a bad thing. It's a good thing. So they did some interesting things on the show with Randy and Bray. Interesting things going on with Sheamus and Drew McIntyre. There's a Retribution thing we're going to touch on as one of our takeaways. So stay tuned for that one. So we got 2 takeaways for you guys from the show. But before we do, I want to remind you guys, drop a like on this video. Do us a favor. Hit the subscribe button if you're watching and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out a lot. We do appreciate it. Notification bells, you guys alert when new videos drop like this one and the next videos that are coming out with the ones in the pipeline I got coming through to the channel. Follow me on social media, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, all the same handles. Follow me on all those platforms. Connect with me there. Also, in the description section below, you got some links. You already know what they are. Amazon, click through there, shop through there, kicks back towards the channel. Fight TV, Honor Club, shop through there, sign up through there, order stuff through there, kicks back towards the channel if you use the link in the description. Highspots.com, same story. Shop through there. Buy stuff through there. Using the link in the description section below helps us out a lot, helps us the channel. Really do appreciate all the support you guys are giving us on the channel. And without further ado, guys, get right into it. 2 takeaways from Monday Night Raw, which Monday Night Raw started off with Randy Orton in the ring, recapping what happened last week when he, showed the weakness of the Fiend by carrying Alexa Bliss, and he kind of had the advantage on the Fiend.
So many recaps. Well, there's like 12 recaps a show.
WWE seems to just be like a show of recaps most of the time, so that's what we got here. But Randy Orton calls out, Bray Wyatt, and Bray Wyatt shows up in the Firefly Funhouse. They have this interesting little game show thing going on where Bray dresses up like a game show host, and they do this little corny thing. I thought it was corny, but it was. I mean, it's interesting, like a little twist on stuff that they do with Bray Wyatt's character. So that's pretty cool. I mean, it was cheesy and corny, but it came off okay. It came just something different.
And there was a weird spot where Randy wasn't looking at the Titantron. He was like looking away. I don't know if that was just
he was kind of like fuck this shit. I don't like.
Or like it was like oh shit, he wasn't paying attention because he doesn't have to because nobody there. I don't know. It was weird. It was really weird.
But in the whole time, it's just pretty much Randy saying he's not afraid of the Fiend. That's how he was coming off as, that he just was not afraid of the Fiend. And he knows Bray Wyatt. He's got the advantage on Bray Wyatt, but he's not afraid of the Fiend. So he would challenge Bray Wyatt to a match in the main event on Monday Night Raw. So that would happen. So he would face Bray Wyatt tonight, and then he will face the Fiend at TLC. So that's the way this show started off. So it's a pretty interesting way to start off the show. Next thing we had Asuka with Lana going against Shayna Baszler with Nia Jax. Now they got a couple wins in a row over Nia Jax and Baszler, so they will face them at TLC for the tag team championships. Asuka gets the win here. That was pretty much it. I mean, storyline kind of sucks. Yeah, it's not really that great. The storyline, it is what it is. We'll see what happens. I kind of hope that they take the titles off of Baszler and Jax. I think it's more interesting.
Yeah, and I think Shayna should probably go by herself. I don't like her in a tag team. She doesn't flow that well. And now Lana versus Nia next week. That's set up. I mean, we'll see what that's about. It's probably gonna be another sneak away to win. But yeah, this stuff needs to go. I don't know. It sucks.
It is what it is. Not that good, but I think it'd be more interesting for the show if Lana and Asuka become your new women's tag team champions. So Asuka gets the win here over Shayna Baszler. The next thing on the show is an interesting one. It's Ricochet and Dana Brooke going against Slapjack and Reckoning with Mustafa Ali. Now, past 2 weeks, we had, Ricochet and Slapjack go at it. Then we had Dana Brooke. Well, we had Reckoning finally do something and attack Mandy Rose. Then Dana Brooke took on Reckoning after slapping Mustafa Ali in the face, and she would beat Reckoning in Reckoning's first match as part of Retribution. Then we have this mixed tag match, and Brooke and Ricochet get the win. It was not a good match. It's just like, this is going to be takeaway number 1, and it's going to be takeaway number 1 because there's issues brewing between Reckoning, Mustafa Ali, and I guess Slapjack too. Mustafa Ali seems to be pretty upset with what's going on and the losses being taken by Retribution lately. So I'm thinking maybe that this is a way to get Reckoning, aka Mia Yim, out of the group and write her out of the group, maybe get her into the women's division as a solo star. I think that's where she needs to be, and I think her Retribution makes no sense because there's not enough action with the women in terms of Retribution for her to be an actual member and actually serve like an actual purpose on the team.
I'm gonna rebuff that just because WWE has been so lazy before. They could just be like, all right, she's not on the team anymore, and they'll
she's
put her
gone.
away before she won't be there for a month, and then we'll talk about it, and then she'll come back in 2 months later. So I mean, I'm gonna not give them the credit because they should do what they would do. I just think they have no idea what Retribution. They started off with an idea and they just kind of naturally got to this place, but it's not a good place, and they probably just axe the entire group. They don't beat anybody. They aren't really retributing anything. Like where's the Retribution at? They're getting no payback or anything. They're not. They at least before they were destroying things, and they were
and also it's also Slapjack now the main guy, because you don't see T-Bar or Mace really anymore doing matches.
Those guys
were
like were like leading the group before Mustafa Ali. So I don't know. It's just they keep trying to figure things out, and then they go away for 2 weeks, or like they're not on pay-per-views. They're losing. It's just, I don't know, man. They're supposed to be this big bad group, and they just completely suck. They've never been good. They've never done anything interesting. So far, it's been a complete bust. And I'm not going to give WWE the credit that they're actually gonna an interesting way to write off Reckoning. Yeah. Like, I just don't buy it. I don't buy it.
Yeah, unless they decide to keep the group around, and they may just try to do like the whole story where she just gets not kicked out of the group, or she leaves because she's tired of Mustafa Ali shit or whatever. Or maybe they throw Keith Lee in there because it's an actual relationship in real life. So maybe they throw Keith Lee in there to try to change things up.
I don't know, but Keith Lee was talking to Sheamus before, in the back about stuff. So I don't know. We'll see where that goes. But yeah, that was a pretty crappy way to end the crappy hour of Raw.
Yeah, no, it's just terrible Retribution, more of terrible Retribution. WWE has no idea what to do with the storyline, or they just completely gave up on it, or they just don't really care anymore. So it is what it is. But guys, that's takeaway number 1. Our thoughts on Reckoning and part of Retribution. Next thing on the show, we had Sheamus, Drew McIntyre. Well, we had Miz TV. I'm sorry. We had Miz TV out there with AJ Styles coming out with Omos, and that was the guest. They just started making fun of, Sheamus and Drew McIntyre. You had Miz and Morrison doing their little accents, making fun of them. I thought it was a terrible segment. Here comes Sheamus, McIntyre. I thought McIntyre's like comebacks, quips were a little childish and corny.
Yeah, I mean, there was a couple where talking about like Mrs. Balls, like your wife has them in the purse.
That's shit. Okay. You hear that stuff is like so played out, like so. It's like I wasn't really feeling it. So they had all their issues. They would brawl while AJ was staying on the outside during the brawl. So kind of giving up on Miz and Morrison. Miz and Morrison would get destroyed. Thrown out the ring. Then you have Drew McIntyre toss the Money in the Bank briefcase all the way to the entrance and breaks part of the Tron. They really played that up a lot. The announce team that he was able to toss it that far.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good throw.
Yeah, it was a good throw. But a guy that huge, you'd expect him to do something like that. Yeah,
I mean, it was like Vlad Guerrero right field. It was a good throw.
But they continue to play up Sheamus. That Sheamus will betray Drew McIntyre eventually, because he is a bad guy. But technically, right now he's being a babyface, but he's still a heel. I don't know. But I thought it was a bad segment.
And just too many of these Miz TV, KO show,
too much of
Moment of Bliss. Like, it's just every show there's some stupid thing on, like, where there's like enough. And then some guys don't work it. Like, AJ doesn't work with this style of promo or like thing. He looks off. He doesn't look comfortable. Doesn't come off natural. Just leave him alone. Just let him do his thing. Don't put him on these stupid things.
Yeah, they got to stop doing so many of these talk show stuff, because it's not really all that. It's every week. Yeah,
on every show. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. So you should have just had the match they were gonna have instead of having the segment. But we'll get to the match later. Next thing on the show, we had Kofi Kingston against Shelton Benjamin. Remember last week it was Cedric Alexander going against Xavier Woods. Cedric Alexander got the win here. Cedric Alexander's been really feeling himself. He's got real cocky. He wants the spotlight. So this match happens. Kofi Kingston gets the win. Alexander's really upset about it. Challenges Kofi to take on Alexander. Kofi's obviously a little injured from the match, so Alexander takes advantage of that, gets the win over Kofi, and is celebrating. So it seems like he really wants to take the spotlight. We'll see what happens, what that entails with the Hurt Business going forward, with him trying to be like kind of like the spotlight and the shining star of the group. We'll see what happens with that.
Which is good, because that's the whole point of putting him in a group like this, where he's a young guy that needs to be built as a star, and he's doing a good job of that. He needs to
come off better than when he came in. Yeah, when he leaves.
Of course.
Yeah, that's the whole point of it. Next thing
doesn't say much.
Yeah, it doesn't say much. Yeah. Next thing on the show is that match: Drew McIntyre and Sheamus going against AJ Styles, The Miz and Morrison, in a 3-on-2 handicap match. Now the match I thought was really, really fun. It was an exciting match. It was way better than the segment that they had on Miz TV, so they should have just had this instead.
Again, not saying much.
Not saying much. But the thing interesting about here was there was a mistaken bro kick that hit Drew McIntyre, right? So they hit that, and then I was able to get Styles was able to capitalize on that, hit the phenomenal forearm on Sheamus, get the win for Styles, Miz and Morrison. So they would call that into question later on in the back. Now Sheamus would be in the back by like the pseudo catering spot, and he would get confronted by Charlie Caruso about this. It was obviously a mistake, right? So like I don't know what they were playing as such a big deal, but here comes McIntyre.
All the time.
He agrees that it's a mistake, but he says, what needs to happen now. So this is takeaway number 2. It's a brawl between two friends and then they're beating the living hell out of each other. Here comes Pat Buck to kind of break it up, and then they just turn the table on Pat Buck, whip his ass, throw him through the table with a power bomb, and then they kind of just go out for a drink. So it's kind of playing up like the whole like UK like tough guy thing, toughness that they just beat. Even though they're friends, they beat each other up and they have drinks afterwards. So there's
soccer hooligan stuff. It's
exactly
all good. We're boys. We're just gonna hammer out with some fists, and then we're gonna have a pint after.
Exactly. So they're still cool, even though they're trying to play it up like they weren't. But I don't think there's a rift going on. But I am interested to see. I think Drew McIntyre will beat AJ Styles at TLC, and I think he should just give a shot at the title to Sheamus. Because I'm really excited to see. I'm excited to see Drew McIntyre and AJ Styles. I'm also excited to see Sheamus and Drew McIntyre for the title.
Yeah, you've been talking about Sheamus and Drew for a bit there, a couple months. Again, this segment was the match was good. I don't think we needed that ending to it. It was kind of overplayed, overhyped, because like this happens all the time where the guy knocks his partner out by mistake. It was pretty obvious. I guess they wanted to show like a funnier side or a lighter side of them, their friendship. I guess it was all right. I mean, Pat Buck, it was just funny to see him get his ass kicked, but I don't know. It was an all right segment, nothing too crazy. This Raw just was really everything fell flat for me on this Raw. Even this match, it was all right. It was all right. I mean, this just feels flat going into TLC. Well, next week. I mean, hopefully next week's show gets a little more excited for TLC, because right now I'm not really that excited.
Yeah, right now the build is pretty lackluster, but we'll see what happens next week. But that's takeaway number 2. Sheamus and McIntyre beating the hell out of each other, and then beating the hell out of Pat Buck. Poor Pat Buck. So next thing on the show, we had Bobby Lashley with MVP taking on Jeff Hardy, and then you would have Matt Riddle come into the match to help out Jeff Hardy and kind of just give him support. In the end, Lashley gets the win. I thought it was a good match between the two guys, but the feud continues. That it will be Lashley going against Riddle. That's the feud that will be upcoming for that U.S. title. I think Riddle's probably going to win out that feud. I think they have big plans for Riddle going in the future, even though this promos have been kind of lackluster and kind of corny.
I mean, I don't think it's his fault. I just think
this is what they're feeding him.
He's just like, hey man, be a stoner. And it's like, all right. I mean, that only goes so far.
Exactly. Yeah, it only goes so far. So we'll see how they flesh out the character going forward. But he will feud with Bobby Lashley sooner rather than later. Next thing that should be the main event: Randy Orton going against Bray Wyatt. Good match. It was. Orton and Wyatt have good chemistry with each other. Wyatt, as just the Wyatt character as well, is good because it's more like character based. It's matches, the way they work out. And then interesting spot at the end, you would have Randy Orton go for the RKO. The lights will flash. You would see him hit the RKO. The lights will flash. Cut off. They would turn back. It would be red, and the person he's laying on is no longer Bray Wyatt. It's the Fiend. And then he would get shocked and scared by it, and then the Fiend would put the mandible claw and choke him out. It goes to a no contest, obviously, but I thought it was funny the way he had Bray Wyatt take the RKO, lights go out, and then it's the Fiend there. So
can't go, can't go over on the Fiend.
Exactly. So he had Bray Wyatt take the bump, and then the Fiend showed up at the end. But it was cool because like the way last week's show happened with Bray, showing his weakness for Alexa Bliss as Randy Orton was holding her. This was kind of like a turning of the tables where now Fiend has the advantage because during that match he hits the RKO and then the Fiend pops out instead of Bray Wyatt, and then hits the mandible claw and then takes him out.
Yeah, and just a good use of like this is stuff where you can't do that in front of a live audience. This is something where they probably edited a little bit, especially with the whole screen turning off, make it dark. I mean, I'm sure he had it underneath him and just took everyone's clothes off with the mask on. But it's always good with no crowd there, so you can just sneak those things in.
Yeah, because you could tell by the kind of sweater he was wearing. It was kind of up like a puffier sweater. Rather than that classic red one that he wears.
Yeah, so it's definitely like that going on. But I mean, it was cool. It worked. It actually ended a terrible Raw with actually something entertaining and something good, and that's kind of one of the feuds that got me excited. It's Randy versus the Fiend. So let's see where this goes. There wasn't Alexa Bliss this week because she was scared because of last week. So we'll see if she comes. I'm sure she'll be back next Monday and probably run up some crazy idea, against Randy. But this is definitely a match that people are excited for. I'm excited for it. I know you're excited for it. And let's just see what happens Monday. They got to end end with something hot to get us going to TLC.
Yeah, definitely do. Those are our 2 takeaways. That's Monday Night Raw. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Make sure you check in for our Wednesday shows coming up and any other shows by hitting that subscribe button, by hitting the notification bell so you guys alert when those videos. Remember to like, comment, and all that stuff on this video. Appreciate you guys for watching. Remember, for those working for not to the job.
Later, Marks.